Msa and Edwina to the first webinar of BlackBox for the Droughtmaster members. Thank you for taking the time tonight to give us an overview of how BlackBox works and how it can be used in application in the beef industry and in particular to our members. So yeah, look, I'd just like to say I really appreciate you taking the time to go through this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of benefits for our members by listening in on this webinar. And as Ali said earlier, you know, we will record this and it'll be available to members to watch going forward. So so thanks again, and we'll hand over to you now to take it from here.
Thanks very much, Simon, and Ali, for giving us the opportunity to talk. We really appreciate it, and keen to share with you what we've been working on for the last couple of years. So I guess a little bit of background to BlackBox. So BlackBox was born out of the northern beef industry, basically through our different from our team. A lot of data being collected in the industry. It was difficult for producers to easily make informed decisions from that data. So we started a couple of years ago just pulling some data together for people from, just say, weaning weight. Got a lot of industry interest and pretty quickly realised there was a real need out in the beef industry to have a way to easily pull this data together, but not only together, turn it into visual insights for you to make decisions from it. So we started a couple of years ago. We've been working very closely with the northern beef industry. We're now progressing down into the southern beef industry as well. But basically, we pull in the raw production data that's collected crush side, as well as anything from beyond the point of sale. So on-farm data, including pregnancy tests, weights, treatments, that type of information that's collected crush side, as well as like sale data, feedlot performance, and carcass, and display back in easy to use dashboards. So we'll run through those dashboards tonight as well. And I guess we're a pretty small group, so I'd encourage you to please ask questions as we go. Don't wait until the end. We like to keep it quite interactive. So just raise your hand or send a question through at any time as well. So I should introduce us. So my name's Emma Black. I'm one of the co-founders of BlackBox and the COO. So work very closely with industry, from producers right through to feedlots and processors, and basically take that feedback and data back to our development team. We've got a full internal development team, and then we work together to produce these dashboards and insights. So I'm based down at Kingaroy, on a farm just outside of Kingaroy, and I'll just let Edwina introduce herself as well.
Hi all, I'm Edwina Warby, so I'm based near Glenmorgan, just near Roma, and I'm a bit similar to Em, working with the whole of supply chain, so mainly the pastoral companies in the north, and then smaller family places around here, as well as feedlots, and then also down south, starting to work with some of the studs and processors down there as well, and a few feedlots. I started with BlackBox after Beef Week last year. So I've been here nearly 12 months, and yeah, mainly client support and client management.
Yeah, so I guess we have a few different roles in terms of data. Like, we work with everyone from small family producers. I think our smallest clients got 60 cows, right through to the large pastoral companies. And we work with people that have collected a lot of individual animal data for a number of years, but we also spend a lot of time running data information days. And I guess talking about from what we've learned from all the data we've seen, how you're best to collect and what type of data you can collect on farm to make decisions. So we do a lot of customer support work around optimizing your crush side system to make sure it's easy to collect your data and that it's collected in a consistent way as well. All right, I'll get into some dashboards, and then we'll probably take us 20 or 30 minutes to run through these, and then we'll have plenty of time for discussion at the end. So I'll just share my screen. Can you guys see that fine? It's all good, Ali? Yep, cool. Okay. So I'm going to start. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start with fertility, and please, I'm looking at this on a big screen. So if anyone's on a laptop and needs me to zoom in, just shout out and let me know, and I can zoom in to make sure you can read the charts. But we'll start at fertility and then we'll work our way through the supply chain. And I guess we'll give you a pretty high view of what we do or the type of insights you can generate out of our system. But pull us up at any stage if you want more detail. So I guess we'll show you examples through this demo of some northern beef data, large extensive herds, and we'll show some southern more intensive herds as well. So obviously this particular example of fertility data is a northern breeding herd, so quite a large herd size. All our dashboards are really interactive, and it allows you to filter the data basically any way you want to. So you can break it down to a breed level or a paddock. You can select the date range that you want to look at, and then you get some key metrics. So we've got a number of head, an average weaning weight, pregnancy percentage, weaning percentage, and a wet rebreed. This one's looking at your pregnancy status. So just say we want to check pregnant animals, you'll notice that all the charts change just to show the data for that selection. The body condition score. So this is interesting because traditionally we haven't seen this collected a lot, but we're starting to see more and more producers collect this type of data now. And I'll demonstrate why. So body condition score 1 is really skinny and 5 is really fat. But if you watch this percent pregnant up here, body condition score 4 is 89%. We drop that body condition score in this herd, you can see the significant impact on the percent pregnant. So it's allowing you to see, I guess, make easy decisions or see the impact of that quite easily. This one's a lactation status. We've got an ADG. So we had some producers looking at this to predict the likelihood of cows getting pregnant again. What we're finding now, though, is more and more people will use body condition score more so than this weight, because they might only be weighed once a year. So it's not a good indication, that ADG. This one here will break it down by year of birth. So it allows you to look at a specific age group of animals, or if you've changed genetics or where you've bought bulls from in a particular year, you could select that and have a look at how that's impacted your herd as well. This one here is a calf to calf period. So looking at the average number of months between calves. So you can see for this herd, the average is around 14. This really big tail of cows having a calf every 2 or 3 years. So the cool thing to do here is select all these tail enders and add them over to this list builder. So you can use this builder, make any selection you want, and pull the EID tags across into there. What we can do from this list builder is then push it back down to your crush side machine. So we pull data from Gallagher True Test, Stockmate, a huge variety of crush side machines, but you can generate this list and push it back down and make like keep and cull lists or set rules around those animals to help you make those decisions in the yards. This one here is looking at a weight at first conception. So we've got an algorithm in our system that looks at the weight of the animal at preg test and the fetal age and works back to the predicted weight at their first conception. So if I just select the heifers up here, you can see a breakdown of their weight when they conceive their first calf. So it allows you to quickly and easily identify these ones that were a lot lighter when they first conceived, or occasionally we get ones up here and say the 400 kilos, and you might want to get them out and cull them. Down here, obviously this isn't a controlled mating herd, but you can see an outline of the calving pattern for the year. And most commonly this is used to pick out like these out of season calvers, and they might move them to a different paddock or manage them differently, potentially sell them as PTICs, but allowing you to easily identify them and then push that back to your crush side system and set alerts around them. So as an example, if you wanted to draft them out, when they come into the crush, it'll beep an alert and carry on and know that you've got to remove them. This one here is a dry analysis. So it's looking at the cows that should have had a calf in these months, but she's come back in dry. So we know that she hasn't raised a weaner. And what we can do from this, if you can see these little lines down here, so these cows should have had a calf in February. They've come back in dry, but we can then see that some of them have since reconceived again. So for these particular animals here, we know that she's lost it as a fetus rather than a calf. So where we're heading with that, being able to give you an indication of fetal loss versus calf loss within your herd. And I think the thing I should outline is we're not consultants, we're basically visualizes your data, cleans it and validates it and turns it into a decision tool. So we would at least set alerts around that to say a trend, like there's a lot higher percentage of fetal loss this year than last year. Maybe it's something that you should look into or investigate with her. Are there any questions there before we move on?
Absolutely.
Nope. Okay, I'll step over to Edwina to run through some growing data.
Yep, cool. So I guess with that, I just wanted to highlight that like some of those producers that are using a controlled bull mating period. Can you share my screen? Sorry. See my screen?
No.
So this is an example of a southern breeding herd that are focusing on a little bit different breeder objectives, obviously, don't have as many dry animals and as spread out calving patterns. So I guess their breeder objectives are more looking at conception weight. That 11-month calving interval versus the 13-month makes quite a difference over a few years. And the other thing I wanted to highlight was sometimes when people see these dashboards, particularly growing and fertility, they think, oh, this is all great, but I have to collect a whole lot more data than what I am collecting. So something that I've learned to highlight is to get data on this fertility dashboard, there's a few things that are optional, but obviously you get the most value out of these black box dashboards if you were to collect them. So to show this data, all you need is a preg test, fetal age, a lactation status, a weight, a date, and a sex. And for the growing data, most of you would be already collecting what's required. So a date, a weight, breed obviously adds a little bit more value if you are using multiple breeds. So I'll jump into the growing data. This is our management dashboard, which looks at animals just currently on property. So we have a growing management dashboard and a growing performance dashboard. So growing performance looks at any animals that have exited the property. So that would be carcass data, sale data, whether it's Feedlot or Auctions Plus or sale yards. We take in multiple forms of sale pricing data. Up the top, similarly, again, you have filters. So you can choose to look at just your females that are growing out, your weaner heifers or your weaner bulls or steers that you have on the property. Paddock, you're able to break down and compare different paddock performance. That might be of interest to people who are trialing different agronomy things or different improved pastures, cropping, that sort of thing. Breed, able to select a certain breed. So again, KPIs up the top, looking at an average first and last weight, and then the time spent on property growing, average ADG whilst they're there. And if you are trading animals, an average purchase price. So data first weight, you're able to drag along and compare either weaning times of the year, weaning dates, or the time of the year that you're buying in trade cattle. And you'll see again how the rest of the charts change. First, number of head by first weight is essentially looking at either an average weaning weight or the weight that you're inducting those trade cattle. Again, you can see how those have changed. These ones up here have probably been missed being seen for their first weight, those heavier end. So weeks on growing versus total weight gained. This allows producers to look at their top performers compared to their lower performers. So animals that have been on the property, I might just zoom a little bit, sorry, for 90 or 100 weeks. So who's gained around the 200 kilo mark versus 300, 400. And on a bigger screen, you can see how the rest of the charts change. Age at last weight allows you to look at weight for age. So an animal, again, that's 10 or 20 months of age, we'll look at 10, who's 200 kilos versus 300, 400 kilo mark. Property of origin allows you to drill down into your different breeding places performance or where that trade animal has been born. So we import a report straight from the NLIS system to bring that data in for you. This source pick is something that we've just recently added, and that allows you to look at animals pick number that are the middleman. So they haven't bred the animal, but you've bought it from them. So a few traders that have a close relationship with suppliers of the cattle that they're buying, they tend to look at that rather than property of origin. Breed chart, so you can drill into how the Droughties performed compared to the Brahmins, and it's good news for all. If you're looking at ADG, so again, purchase price if you are trading animals, this is just a breeding herd. But year of birth, you're able to look at the age of those either steers or if you're trading heifers that are still there where all their mates have gone. Quick summary again of the pick performance. And then most recent ADG charts. So this came about from a producer wanting to look past the most recent ADG that came up on their crush side system. So they're able to see how they're performing now, or their most recent between two weights. But down here, you're able to select those ones that are dragging the chain a little bit and are not doing so well. And so do they pick up, or are they still dragging the chain compared to the rest of the herd? And for some business situations, they do prefer to just get rid of them earlier. They're eating grass. I understand it's not appropriate for all models. So our predictive weights table is a new addition, well, over the last few months. So this allows you to forecast out when cattle will be ready. So based on what you think they will do, or if it's a certain situation of putting them on oats versus giving them a supplement, that kind of thing, or if you're just simply wanting to plan out cash flow over the next few months. One thing here I should mention is we're starting to work with Optiway to pull that current data in. So instead, like at the moment, we can see that, you know, an animal is doing 1.5 through the mob is doing 1.5 through Optiway. So we can plug that in, but going forward, that will automatically feed in so that there's more accurate current weights. So another way that this part of the software is used is those who have a close relationship with their feedlots or abattoirs are able to select a group and say, okay, well, in June, I want to send 150 of this weight range, but I know I'm only going to have 117 ready. So I can grab these ones in the lighter weight range add them to a list and actually go and pull them out and maybe give them a little bit more room with another paddock, that kind of thing. So that is the growing management dashboard. I will quickly show you our growing performance, which is very similar, but just ties in the sale and carcass data. So you are able to go down and see, okay, feedlot pricing, who received this and what time of the year or what was their story, or your highest priced carcass animals and how they performed on farm. Other thing I just wanted to show you before we run through any questions for that part is how, sorry, wrong screen. No, I'll go through that in a sec. And you can cover feedlot and carcass if you wanted. I just wanted to show them how they're able to view by a certain import.
Yep, you're right. You can run through it now if you want. All right, do you want me to go to carcass?
This is not a great example because it doesn't have any pricing data with it, but something we have added is the ability to view by import. So you're able to essentially look at that session or that mob of cattle only. So if there was feedlot pricing data with this, I know a few producers are looking at, you know, what they received $5.50 for versus the same mob, same day, $5. So this one's just a session file, but you're able to go back to either the growing management or growing performance dashboard to view that mob of animals. So that's just another way of selecting a certain mob or session. So is there any questions on the growing? I know that was a really brief run through, but I'm mindful it's using up your time.
Can you guys hear me? It's Rob Atkinson here.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, Emma and Edwina. No, I'm just interested in what you've been doing for a while now, Emma, and just wanted to get an overview of the BlackBox program. Donna and I just got about 150 Angus Droughtmaster breeders, and we sell a few bulls, and we didn't want to get into the fully blown breed plan thing. The cattle aren't registered, but with your program might work for us. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. And what crush side system are you using, Rob?
Just the basic, you know, just Gallagher weighing system, Emma.
Yep.
So everything's manual. We haven't got a TSI anymore. That can probably change if we need to, but just want to keep it fairly basic and have some information for bull buyers, as well as obviously our own improvements in our own herd.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with everything from like a TWR1 to a TWR5. So the TWR5s, and Edwina will be able to explain this in more detail, but you can set templates up in it as well to help with that collection of data. But yeah, absolutely could pull it in. I guess what the thing we say to everybody is data's like garbage unless you know what you want to do with it. So generally when we start with someone, we say, what's your objectives? Like, what are you trying to achieve? And then we can put the data up on the dashboards, but it's really straightforward. Like basically at the end of the day, once you've been in the yards, you can come back and your TWRs are cloud-based as well. So we can pull that data across, or you can just drop a file in a Dropbox folder and it would just go up and be on the dashboard within a few minutes. And then to push it, anything, if you want to like create draft lists or set rules, particularly with the growing data, people might look at those consecutive ADGs and say, okay, these guys aren't performing well. And they can set a rule and say, if they come in this time and they're not doing 0.5 a day, let's set an alert. And we can push that back down, crush that as well. But yeah, certainly, and it's the same with everybody. I think just trying to work out what it is you want to achieve, whether it's look at high performers or low performers, or just get a better understanding of your herd. We do also link through, which I'll go into shortly, with feedlot performance and carcass data as well, and getting that feedback back down to you guys also. But yeah, and I know, Rob, you're only just up the road from me now, so we need to catch up.
Yeah, we do, and Kingaroy is only 3/4 of an hour from where we live, so we need to catch up. Just a couple of things. The first thing is, what does TWR stand for? And secondly, if we're selling our, steers and cull heifers straight off mum at weaning, which we are, is there a way to bring back the data from their performance, when they're slaughtered, even though they're in a different ownership?
Yeah, so a TWR is just the name. If you're not using a TSI, a Gallagher system, I'd say you're using a TWR. Right. So I think the TWR 1, 3, and 5 or something. The way we built our system is we will be able to feed back data back to the property of origin. We're not doing it at the moment, but it's something that we're certainly working towards and being able to do in the future. Also, it's about the opportunity of getting data back from the progeny that they sell, and that's something we can certainly look at in the future. I guess our key focus has been, everyone calls data differently. Let's get the data in, and once we've got that data in, which we're doing now, it's quite easy to pull insights and things on the dashboard. But yeah, certainly something we're looking at doing in the future with bringing it back to property of origin.
Very good.
I particularly around the fertility dashboard, but all the dashboards pulling in a dam chart. So it's something we're starting to work on now, and it'll basically just be another chart like the property of origin chart or breed chart that Edwina showed, but have it as sire. And if that data is collected, we can do that, or allow you to search for a sire and see how his progeny have performed on your own farm as well. Or you can make a selection on a Carcass dashboard or a feedlot performance dashboard and see, pick your top 10% and then see which particular sires they've come from. So that's something we're working on to roll out over the next couple of months as well. Okay, I'll just go on to feedlot. I don't know if we've got any feedlotters in the audience tonight, but I'll just quickly run through this. So we're working with a number of feedlots now in terms of providing analytics for them. So this particular dashboard's probably more focused at the feedlot and being able to easily identify higher performers versus lower performers. But one of the key things we've been working on the last few months is a feedlot feedback system. So basically, there's data there, it's in the feedlot, it's collected. The data is generally available to the producers that supply the cattle into the feedlot, but it's not easy to get it. You've got to ring up, you've got to ask for it. It takes a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's difficult to track it down. So we saw a big opportunity there to try and open that flow of data and seamlessly get it back out to producers and to the people that supply the cattle into the feedlot. So this is an example of what this will look like. So we're working with 6 feedlotting companies now to roll this out. And I guess if there's other feedlots that we're not working with, we're certainly open to getting a bit of industry pressure put on them to start getting this data back out to allow you to make better decisions with it. But This is an example of what could be coming back. So this is just one lot of cattle that went in. Well, it was 2 lots. The average induction weight, carcass weight and ADG. So this is when they went in to the feedlot. You've got a breakdown of their induction weight. This is the number of days that they were on feed. And again, you can make a selection here of any of these. This is an ADG. So if you just want to select your highest performers, you can. And we will have a list builder on this as well. So if you wanted to go and say, okay, well, all these cattle are mine that did 2.5 kilos a day or better, or over 2 kilos a day, you could select them and then go back to your growing dashboards and actually look at their performance data while they were on farm as well. And you could go all the way back to your fertility dashboard if you wanted to as well. This is an exit weight and a carcass weight, and then we go into a number of different carcass metrics, which vary a little bit depending on which feedlot you send them into. But generally you'll get a breakdown of marbling, an MSA index, dentition, pH fat, meat colour, sometimes fat colour, and rib fat. But I guess it's the same data that you might get back in a spreadsheet from the feedlot, but we're trying to put it into where you can easily identify the better performers and the lower performers. Something else we're working on is an animal health dashboard that will pull in all of the health defects that come back from the abattoir. So it'll allow you, for example, to pick all the cattle that might have had high DATAs when they were killed. You can select them and then go back and look at their on-farm performance and see if there was a difference between the ones that had them and the ones that didn't. We're also working on pulling in like pharmaceuticals, allowing you, just say you use 2 different HGPs on farm, being able to just compare the performance of those animals and if there was any difference in that as well. We do offer a free Carcass dashboard. Basically, like, that's data, and people that aren't collecting a lot of on-farm data yet, you've already got Carcass data, so we're very keen to try and allow people to make better use of that data and information. So this is an example of a Carcass dashboard. So you'll get a breakdown of your dollars per kilo, carcass weight. This is your P8 fat, and property of origin, total price received, dentition, kill date, and most importantly, or what we find what most people use this for, is these discount categories. So allowing you to easily identify lost opportunity or what you were discounted for on the day. So you can easily select, just say you had a run of dark cutters, for example, you could select them, you could add them to this and then go back and look at your on-farm data. If you're a trading enterprise, for example, you know, is it cattle coming from a particular place, or if you've got a few different blocks, is it coming from a particular property, that type of thing. But just allowing you to easily see it. We then do a breakdown by property. So obviously this is a large business, but it's the total number of head by property. Excuse me. And then this is the number of head that had discounts, or a percentage of them that had discounts. And then you can see what they were discounted for. We are applying an estimated loss, excuse me, and a dollar figure there, but this is only set at 5 cents per kilogram because there's so much variation, as you guys would know, between abattoirs and between companies with what they discount at. So some of these, bruising is often 10 or 20 cents a kilo. Scar tissue removal is sometimes 40 cents a kilo. But we played it safe and did it at 5 cents. But where we're heading with this and the discussion we're having is trying to work directly with the processor so we can link it to the exact grid that your cattle went under. And if we do that, we could get this dollar figure right, and we could color code a lot of these charts. So make it, you know, for your PA mil, so you can see what fell out and why. I'll just show you quickly the Msa dashboard. So Msa obviously is a lot more quality and yield data. But what industry said to us is they want to be able to quickly and easily identify what graded MSA and what didn't grade MSA. So that's why we've got this straight at the top. So what graded, the average price received, and the average dollars per head, the property it came from, and then we've done a breakdown of why they didn't grade. So you can get a quick snapshot of that. But then the other thing we found is producers, depending on your breed and the type of business you run and your location, you're focusing on different traits and you can manage different things. So some people will want to focus heavily just on the index, some just want to look at marbling, but we've set this up in a way to allow you to filter it however you want. So if you want to just pick these high index animals, you can. You could add it here, go back and look at their feedlot performance and their growing performance data as well. Or marbling is a big one. So often we'll get people that might go, okay, well, let's pick out these ones that had higher marbling. They'll go back and then look at them at the feedlot performance and want to be able to pick out the ones that had the best feed conversion ratio and the highest ADG. So you can see that they're performing well there, but then go back to growing and say, okay, well, how did we manage those cattle? What size did they come from is where we're heading with that, and what treatments they received. Are there any questions there? I could talk about carcass data all night. I guess we're basically just visualizing. So all those, to get this information on here, we pull in those raw files that you get straight back from the abattoir. So the ones that are emailed back to you is what we pull in to display this. Bern, I was waiting for your question.
What's the price structure of your service there? Somebody might be a breeder wanting to go back to a small breeder that's got a couple of hundred cows and he wants a bit of feedback on what bloody breed lines are doing better for the clients, or if he's a buyer and seller, cattle that are doing well, etc. But how do you price what you do for producers?
Yep, good question. It's always good when someone brings it up. So the way we charge is we do a price per number of active animals as an upfront annual subscription. So just say if you have 1,000 cows and you produce 800 calves, so it would be an upfront payment for 1,800 head for a 12-month period. It's scalable by herd size. So one example I can think of my head, so 1,000 head is $1,200 a year, and it varies. So it ranges from 10 cents a head to the very small herds being up near the $3 a head for like the 60 head guys. But we've purposely kept that very cheap and as cheap as we possibly can, because we didn't want price to be a deterrent on data. And so what that would get you is, out of this range of dashboards, depending on your operation, it would get you what dashboards you needed. So if you're a breeder, you might have the breeder performance or the fertility dashboard, and we're about to roll out or about to develop a breeding management board as well. It would be the growing ones that Edwina showed you. You might have feedlot, feedback, and carcass. So not charging per dashboard, we just give you what you need for the data you have.
So what about a producer who's just buys in cattle and fattens them up, and he likes to know where the cattle came from, who's the best performers, who's the worst, what property are the worst cattle he's got? What does that sort of cost?
It's the same, Bern. So it's done on number of active animals, and an active animal we look at is an animal that will have data uploaded on it in that 12-month period. So the other thing we do is we ingest historical data and don't charge for that. So if a producer wants to come on board we will set them up. We'll look at their crush side system and help them try to optimize that if they need assistance with that. And we'll get them going to upload data going forward. And then we'll also pull in their historical data. So we're getting as much information as we can out of that. We've got families that have had 30 years of data. We've got some that are starting now. Look at all that information over time as well. Yeah, but same pricing structure.
Okay.
Burn.
Thanks, mate.
And if it's just Carcass, so the Carcass dashboard we do at no cost. If people just want to upload their Carcass information from their raw Carcass files, look at that. Cool. Is there any more questions or anything else you'd like us to talk through?
Just one thing, Emma. Rob Atkinson here. So as far as animal ID goes, it's working off NLIS mainly, is it?
Yes. So we've built it off the NLIS. We can do the whole life data. So we do pull in management tags, and that's something we're going to build out, is the ability for you, like in that list builder, to be able to use your management tag as well as the EIDs as well. But because we're all individual animal based, we've used the EIDs, and we use the NIL system as well to help us know like when cattle have left the business. Yeah.
What about if we, wanting to know sire and dam performance as far as, their progeny and making comparisons? Do we have to DNA, I'd imagine?
Where we're at with that at the moment is just pulling it in as another column of data. So if you've recorded it like crush side and said, yeah, say you've single side them and you know that they've come from this bull and it's recorded in there, we can pull it in. We're going to build out the ability to pull in full genomic profiles, but it will probably be early next year before we get to that stage as well.
Thanks, Emma.
Good, thanks for the questions. Oh, Roger and Jenny.
Hey, Em, how are you?
Good, Rog, how are you?
Hey, I was just wondering, you're talking about uploading data from crush side. Do you have a preference for a herd paddock, book, to get data from a herd program?
Yeah, we get asked this question a bit, but not really. I think that the thing that we've realised, which we never thought going into this, was how hard it is, regardless of whether it's True Test or Gallagher. I think we've met a yet that's optimised that system and had it set up properly side. So I think it's more like there's a heap of simple things once you know how to do it, like quickly putting in a drop-down list. You guys, but things like that, or a treatment, has easy ways to set it up. It depends. Like in terms of TSIs, are probably the ultimate in terms of the amount of data they can collect. And then the TWRs and the XR5000s, which are a true test system, we most commonly see from fertility and breeding operations, just because they've got the capability to collect a lot of data. And then as you go to the models under that, they might only collect 1 or 2 data points or just a weight. So that's something always to look at. True Test, we can set templates up for the True Test system. Thanks, Edwina. And we can email through templates. We might have a pre-testing template and a weight data template, or if you're tracking them out, a template, so it's all set up, ready to go. And it takes 10 minutes to set those templates up and put them into your system. And the other thing I should add in there is all of our customer support and our operations team are all producers themselves. So we all live and breathe it as well. And people can ring us from 5 in the morning till 10 at night. And between us all, we use all the crush side systems, which is not something we purposely picked our staff from, but that's just the way it's worked out. So we help a lot with that. If people ring us at 6 o'clock in the morning and say the bloody crush side system's not working, or I get the wife ring up and say my bloody husband's telling me to hurry up because I can't get this setting right. And that's just a part of what we do now, is just to help that, because we know how many decisions you can make and how much value you can get from that data if you collect right. So that's something, always discussion around data and how to collect it better. I don't know whether I've answered your question there, Rog. Right, but
yeah, we've got a 5,000. If you're coming past Roma one day, you might be able to teach us how to use it.
For sure. We need to set some templates up for you.
Well, you need to call in one day anyway.
I know I'm due for a visit. I think the other thing is, so particularly with data Mars, a lot of producers at systems just give us their logins to MyHub, and we can just go in and pull files from there. But TrueTest and Gallagher are all working on cloud systems, which should have been rolled out last year, but hopefully they'll be rolled out this year. But that'll get to the stage where once you get back into the house and your Weighbox connects to Wi-Fi, the data can just flow up. So at the moment, you've still got to take the file off, and we can get it over for your MyHub and upload it. But going forward, I think it's going to get a lot easier and take all the steps out as well. Thanks for doing it. And like an exact quote for your number of head, just because an email.
Unfortunately, you're breaking up a little bit, so I might have to give you a ring one day.
For sure, anytime.
Thanks, Em.
Oh, good. Any more questions? Nope, very good. Well, thank you very much, guys. And I'll just quickly put up some contact details for our team. But shoot us through an email anytime or give us a call. If you have any questions, very happy to talk to anyone about more specifics around your own business and how some of these tools might assist you with what you do. And if you'd like a price for your own business, just give us a call or send through an email. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Edwina.